That weekend, the People Power Revolution was staged. So we were there from the beginning till the end of the People Power Revolution. So what I learned from that experience is that despite struggles and obstacles, there is reason for hope.
I am your host, Kwok Pui Lan. Today's guest is Dr. Agnes Brazal, who teaches in De La Salle University in the Philippines. She is a well-known Catholic Asian feminist theologian. Agnes, I know that there are currently 12 data centers in the Philippines, and some people are very concerned about this new form of digital colonialism that is exporting data center to the global south and other parts of the world. And the Pope has issued this encyclical on AI and talking about AI's negative impacts. Can you talk about how people in the Philippines responded to both the growth of data centers and the Pope's encyclical?
Well, the Pope's encyclical is a very timely and relevant document that addresses a phenomenon similar to the industrial capitalist revolution. But this time, it's about the AI revolution. Well, people in the Philippines are not so much aware of the existence of these AI data centers and the negative consequences. Although now, because of our membership in the PAC Silica initiative of the United States, which aims to counter the dominance of China in technology and rare earth elements. So there's much buzz in social media about the possible impact of this AI hub. So it's a 1.6 hectare land that is supposed to be a native AI acceleration hub. But we're not sure how many quality jobs it will be generating and how long these jobs will last. Also, the United States is demanding diplomatic immunity and control of the land, just like the past US bases in the Philippines. Although the government rejected that, but we're not sure if that will be upheld. Also, we're not clear about how the waste from the processing of the rare earth elements and the critical minerals will be handled. The people in the surrounding communities are not consulted. Actually, all decisions are really top down. The church has not made a statement about the new Clark City, but it can make use of the resources from Magnifica Humanities.
What are the parts of the encyclical that you liked most?
Well, I like the Babel syndrome, the reference to the idolatry of profit, because that is at the heart of the critique of how AI is currently developing. It is being pushed forward by tech billionaires. It is also at the heart of the disregard for the ecological consequences of these hyperscale AI data centers.
And you talk about Philippines being caught in the middle between big empires, the American Empire and the Chinese Empire. As a theologian, how do you think about the situation in the Philippines?
Yeah, we need to be more neutral. So during the time of the ex-president Duterte, we were leaning more towards China. And now we are leaning more towards the US. Of course, during the time of the Marcos Sr. dictatorship, he was also supported by the United States. The Philippines is in a very important geographical location, and that's why these powers, these empires are interested in controlling parts of our seas and our streets. So like what the Catholic social teaching has proposed, it's better that we get into multilateral agreements, especially with countries that wish to be non-aligned.
As I am interested in how you become a feminist theologian in the Philippines, Can you share with us your upbringing and the formation of yourself as a theologian?
Well, I was first a social activist before I became a feminist. I belong to the Decada 70 generation, composed of students who were studying during uh, the martial law period and who opposed the dictatorship. So I spent 22 years of my life under martial rule. Growing up, I was hearing about the bombings, the salvaging, extrajudicial killings, but I got conscientized when I entered the university in a Jesuit school in the context of its trust of forming men for others. That means men and women for others. And I volunteered Federation of Free Workers and Office for Social Concern and Involvement. After college, instead of working at a corporation, which my degree in management engineering prepared me for, I opted to become a community organizer for coconut tenants. Our area was highly militarized and we got arrested, but luckily we were released 3 days after. Then 1 year after that, I entered the religious life with the Religious of the Sacred Heart sisters. And it was there that I was introduced to feminist theology. So, especially with Sister Barbie Bo, a scripture scholar who later taught at the Catholic Theological Union, and Sister Amelia Vasquez, the first female dean of a theological school for ordained ministry. As a young profess, I became a campus minister and continued to be involved in student organizing. And I led the students in distributing the bishop's call to discern civil disobedience in 1986 because we had a snap elections and there was widespread fraudulence and we were challenging the victory of Marcos Sr. at the time. I was ousted from my post as campus minister because of that. But that weekend, the People Power Revolution was staged. So we were there from the beginning till the end of the People Power Revolution. So what I learned from that experience is that despite struggles and obstacles, there is hope. There is reason for hope. And that is what I bring with me as a feminist theologian in the church. So even if it seems the struggle is long, well, I continue to be within the church.
And then from Asia, you went to Belgium to study for your PhD degree. Can you share with us your experience? Did you also challenge the European way of thinking about theology, especially about women's equality?
At the time, after 9 years in religious life, I left because I felt that I was being redirected in my journey. I was being called to be a lay theologian, and my dean, a Belgian Scottish father, recommended me to the Catholic University at Leuven. I studied women in theology, and I was also a member of the newly formed Women in Theology group. Because of my background as a social activist, I was interested in liberation theology and the dialogue with Marxism. So my license thesis was on laborem exercens and how it appropriates but goes beyond Marx's thoughts, but also integrating what feminist issues about labor in the analysis. For my dissertation, it was on recasting Clodovis Boff's classic mediations, integrating contextual feminist cultural values. I dialogued here with a feminist philosopher of science, Helen Longino. When I came back, I was teaching feminist theology and also mentoring students in feminist theology. So I see my dissertation as also a way of looking for alternative framework beyond the Eurocentric ideas. But I do appropriate what is good from the North American European framework and also focus on what should be foregrounded from our local resources.
So then you were very active in the Catholic theological movement among women, and you were at one time the president of the Ecclesia of Women in Asia. Can you tell us what this organization is about?
So the Ecclesia of Women in Asia is an association of Catholic women theologians. Well, it's the only regional or continental association of Catholic theologians. And we were formed in 2002. And our objective is to give a voice to Asian women by Catholic women theologians. That includes those who are working on the pastoral, grassroots, and professional level. So we are more inclusive. And also we do engage in dialogue with women theologians of other faith traditions and religious traditions. We also dialogue with feminist theories and movements. We decided to form specifically a Catholic group because we have issues that maybe our Protestant sisters do not have. So like the issue of women's official leadership in the church and the issues about reproductive health.
And also, the movement is quite different from the Protestants because you have a very centralized hierarchical authority, the Pope and the Vatican and all the male leaders of the church. And so do you think that the work for Catholic women in Asia is more difficult or very challenging?
Indeed. Actually, it's not that easy to find women theologians who would want to join us because we are explicitly a feminist group. And when you say you are a feminist group, then they have these notions already. And however, we do engage with a hierarchy. Well, like for the Synod on Synodality, our members were interviewed about what Asian women theologians think about synodality.
Yes, can you tell us what is this Synod on Synodality? And I know that Pope Francis was very eager to push forward a more open church. Do you think that it succeeded in doing that, or women have been able to participate more?
Well, women were able to express what they feel, what they think, but whether changes are made, well, we have to wait. Of course, we have baby steps towards greater leadership of women in the church.
You emphasize that women have to develop their own theology. And within the Philippines, the Filipino colleagues developed a kind of Bai theology in dialogue with the indigenous tradition. What is this about?
Well, maybe just to give a background to the term Bai Theology, that was a product of our 2011 conference when the Catholic feminist theologians of the Philippines, around 30 of them, half of whom were already seniors, gathered together, not only celebrate the 3 decades of scholarship, but also to document the gains and advances in the context of increasing fundamentalism in all religions, including the Catholic Church. So one of the things that we discussed is the term that we would use to call ourselves because, feminist can be a very loaded word. And so we chose Bai. Bai refers to an indigenous woman leader. Actually, our alternative was babaylan because the babaylan is our model of woman leadership and power. Babaylan is the pre-colonial religious leader in the Philippines. Before the Spanish missionaries came, our religious leaders are mostly women or a few are trans women or cross-dressers. So that is part of what feminists are retrieving. Actually, the babaylan would be our proto-feminists because they were the first to resist the Spanish colonization who wanted to replace them with a male clergy and to dislodge the native religion. Now, in Bai Theology, we try to foreground local categories and resources to look at what we can retrieve, no? and foreground this theology. In particular, in terms of the image of the human, I propose to look at our concept of power and beauty. In the Philippine creation myth, that is the Tagalog creation myth, man and woman came from a bamboo. They simultaneously came out of the bamboo. They had no names, but the Spanish missionaries named them Malakas and Maganda. So that is the powerful and the beautiful. However, like in the Asian non-dualistic worldview, we do not really identify power just with the men and beauty just with the women. The strong person is the one who has both power or inner strength and beauty or gracious goodness. Even in our popular religiosity or even in politics, you see that the women who become political leaders, they are portrayed to be powerful and beautiful. No? So like Cory Aquino, but it's not just external beauty, but gracious goodness combined with inner strength. The nuns, the activist nuns, and other social activists, they are also portrayed as models of this power beauty. So it's an alternative way of looking at the human based on our Tagalog creation myth.
This is a beautiful image. And Philippines has been under Spanish colonization for a long time and also under the United States. That is why you are interested in developing a post-colonial interpretation of theology, and you have written this book, A Theology of Southeast Asia. Can you talk about why we need to have a liberation and post-colonial perspectives on Christianity?
Well, it's liberationist because it engages with progressive Marxist thought and post structuralism. So, like in that book, I appropriated the neo-Marxist Stuart Hall's circuit of culture in analyzing cultural as well as biblical or theological discourses. Now, it's post-colonial because there's a critical stance on the persistence of colonialism in our theories and praxis. But going back to my approach in that book, Stuart Hall's Circuit of Culture. So in the analysis of cultural discourses, I look at the 5 elements of this circuit. So representation, what are the different ways that cultural text is represented? So for example, babaylan. What are the identities connected with this representation? Then production. What is the socio-economic, political, academic context in which this discourse was produced? Consumption. How was this discourse consumed? Meaning, how was it appropriated, negotiated, or rejected? And then lastly, regulation. How does this discourse regulate conduct? So basically, it veers away from the view of culture as a homogeneous whole. And of course, in the end, one has to use hermeneutics of appreciation and suspicion to identify the discourse that can be engaged with theology. And with this, one can look at it through the lens, especially of marginalized women.
And I know that you are working on Asian feminist theology. What are the major issues and themes that Asian women are developing?
Oh, well, in this book project that I am writing, doing Asian Women Theology, Liberation-Postcolonial Perspective, basically I will look at the historical development in the sub-regions, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and South Asia, as well as in the diaspora, and also the shifts and expansions in Asian women's theologizing. Then I will recast core theological themes such as unsettling the self, body, and imago Dei. Also on God language, God as mother, Trinity as family. Another is on Christology, wisdom, compassion made flesh. Then the church as sacrament of yin yang harmony. And then the third part will be on ethical issues like shame and filial piety, virtues and vices in the migrant context.
I know that you have also worked on a theology of migration. Can you talk about what are the issues in that theology?
I did focus on the women migrants and how this challenges the division of labor at home, the family, with the family that is left behind. Now, in the Philippines, more women are migrating to earn a livelihood for their families. It's the same with other countries where women are given more freedom, no, to work. So, like in Indonesia as well. The men that are left behind are challenged to do the domestic work or the child care. Some of them, of course, just delegate the work to the other women in the family, but others try to be an alternative husband, no? A child nurturer and manager of the house. Another issue would be the use of technology to communicate, no, with families that are left behind. Of course, that is very important to keep the connection, but at the same time, it has the reverse effect of tripling, no, the role of the mother. So now, the mother, even if she's working in Hong Kong, she continues to tutor the child, plan the menu. So because now, yeah, you can communicate simultaneously, so you can do these things, no? So, yeah, so there is that reverse effect as well as a result of the impact of digital technology. Well, digital technology is also good for making people aware of the abuses that migrants abroad are experiencing, especially women when they are sexually trafficked. So these are some of the advantages, the benefits, no, from the development of the information technology.
Thank you very much for speaking with me today, and best wishes for finishing your book project. And if you are interested in learning more about feminist theology in the Philippines, I have another video in which I interviewed Sister Mary John Menanson, and I hope you will look at that video too. Thank you.